Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Level Up English podcast. So good to have you here again. I hope you're having a good December so far. And this episode is also going to be on YouTube. So from now on, every guest episode, every episode I do with a guest will be posted on the podcast, but it will also have a video version on my YouTube channel. This is English with Michael. So if you search for that on YouTube, you can find the entire conversation there. You don't have to listen to it on YouTube, of course, but if you want to see the video too, and you will see the nice Christmas Santa hat that I'm wearing in this episode, then you can come over and watch on YouTube. So today I have a conversation with Matt. Matt is from England, like me, and he is also a teacher. We had a fantastic conversation. I first met him on Instagram, and he has a page called Matt's English Studio. He gives you a better introduction in the podcast episode today. He has an experience with teaching in a classroom in China, and now he's teaching a bit more online for various reasons. And we have a great conversation about teaching, about learning English. We also talk a lot about Christmas as well. So it's a special Christmas themed episode today. I really hope you enjoy it. Don't forget there is a transcript available. So if you want to read along with what we're saying, click the link for the transcript in the show notes for this episode. Without any more delay, I now give you Matt from Matt's English Studio. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I am happy to be joined today by Matt from Matt's English Studio. So welcome to the podcast.
Morning, everybody, and thanks, Michael, for having me on.
Yeah, my pleasure, my pleasure. So maybe could you give us a little introduction as to who you are, what you do at the moment, like all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so as you said, my name is Matt. I'm an English teacher from Nottingham in the UK. I've been an English teacher for, I think, roughly about 7 years now. And just in the last kind of year or so, I've started making posts on Instagram to help more people with language learning. And I also do online classes as well, which I've been doing for the last couple of years.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I mean that's where I found out about you on Instagram, and
Mhm.
I think I told you I messaged you right away, and your page like instantly stood out to me because it's so, to my eyes, it's so like well organized, and you've got like a really nice. I know this seems like a small thing maybe for many people, but you've got a really nice color scheme and the font. It all looks so neat and tidy. So yeah, definitely very good page. I like it.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not. To be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of making videos myself. That's not really me. But I do like kind of playing around with the. I think if you look at my page, it's kind of. Yeah, I like making posts that look nice. Maybe not the most important thing in terms of learning, but that's what I like to do. So I tend to focus on that, and I have been focusing on that recently.
Yeah, no, nice. I think it is important to some degree, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really good. So you said you've been teaching for a couple of years, right? And is it only online, or did you have like a background in classroom or anything like that?
No, well, my background is mainly in classroom teaching, really. So I've been teaching for about 7 years. I started, I think I was about 21, and I started teaching English. My first experience of teaching English was in China. So at the time, I just wanted to travel. I was quite young, didn't have much money to travel, and I managed to find a program which kind of allowed me to go to China, gave me some teaching training, and then put me in a job. So it was like an internship. And I didn't really make much money from that, but I kind of got enough money to live and to travel around China. And I did that for 6 months. Ended up really enjoying it, and so I decided to stay in China for another 6 months. Still found that I was enjoying it, and in the end, I ended up staying in China teaching for 4 years. So
Whoa,
yeah.
nice, nice. Whereabouts in China?
So first of all, the first 6 months I was in the south in Guangzhou,
Hmm.
near to Guangzhou. And then I moved from there. I went all the way up to the north, so I was in Inner Mongolia for 6 months,
Whoa, awesome.
which was really cool. And then after that, I found a bit more of a more of a serious job, and I spent 3 years there. So that was near a city called Wenzhou in southeastern China.
Very cool. So you've been all over the place then. Cool.
Yeah, well, I spent time, like I say, 3 years. The main part of my teaching in China, the more serious teaching that I did, I spent 3 years in one city. But before that, I managed to move around a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, nice one. Yeah, my girlfriend's actually from Guangzhou, and
Oh,
I've
nice.
never
Okay.
been there before, but we're hoping to go next year. But
Hmm.
we'll see how things go.
Of course.
But
Yeah.
that's cool. You have to kind of hit you up for some advice there.
Definitely. I mean, I had obviously, as I say, I planned to only spend 6 months there, but it,
Mm.
it turned into a year, and then it turned into 4 years. So really amazing places, and I love my time there.
Wow, that's amazing. So was it like your you know the teaching allowed you to travel, and it was just like a means to travel, or was it more like you wanted to teach and you're passionate about it, and travel was like a nice bonus, or somewhere in the middle?
Well, it started off with travel as the main focus, definitely, and teaching was a means to achieve that. But as time went on, it kind of reversed. So it's quite strange, really. I think life became, I'd say, after 2 or 3 years, life became quite normal. Teaching was my job; it was a job that I loved, and traveling kind of came second. So when I had an opportunity to travel, I would, but it wasn't my main focus anymore. So my kind of teaching had become my career, I guess.
Mm.
So I'd say that I fell into it, um, but as time kind of went on, it did become the main thing really that kept me going.
Yeah. Oh, very interesting. So it's a
Mm.
maybe a little bit similar to me because I never did like classroom teaching.
Mhm.
Um, I've always been more attracted to like the one-to-one online lessons.
Mm.
But I think when I first started, I was more interested, maybe it was like 60, 70% for the freedom and the ability to travel, and then the
Mhm.
rest for because I love languages and teaching. But
Yeah.
now it's kind of skewed a bit like you. So maybe it's more about just the job itself and not not about traveling, but less about traveling. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I think we're very lucky to have a job that allows us to do that as well.
Yeah.
Especially with things being online now, you have that flexibility as well. And the nature of language teaching is that your students are often from different countries. Um, and if you can be in those countries, that's where the students often are. So you have opportunities to travel that way. And if you're working online, you have the flexibility that allows you to travel as well.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's very interesting. So, having spent so much time there and
Mhm.
maybe other places, I don't know. Did you like learn the language there, or are you learning any languages now?
Yeah, so again, I think I naturally fell into Chinese as well, and it fell into Mandarin. It was never my before I went to China. It was never my intention to learn Mandarin, and I wouldn't say that I was a big language person. I'd studied French at school.
Mhm.
Did you do French at school as well?
Yeah, but I remember like two words from it.
Exactly. Yeah, I think most British schools teach. I think is it French or Spanish, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe German. Yeah, I'd done French for 5 years, and I'm exactly the same as you. I can't remember. I did well at school, but in French, but I can't remember any of it now. Um, so I kind of fell into Mandarin as well, and I think through living there, it's obviously you need to learn the basics at the very least. And I think once I'd learnt the basics, I kind of thought, right, okay, I can learn this now. I can do this properly. And then I became really, really kind of motivated to learn Mandarin beyond the basics. I try to keep that up now. Um, my girlfriend is from Taiwan as well,
Mm.
so I have that opportunity. Although her English is quite a lot better than my Chinese
Yeah,
is.
same in my
Um,
situation too.
yes, which makes kind of people say, oh, you can practice with your girlfriend, but it's not always that easy. But yeah, Mandarin is the one that I have picked up, and I'm pleased with the level that I've got to.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's a case of, I think with all languages, it's a case of constantly working on it. You're never going to get to being perfect. It's a real continuous process.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a really good attitude to have. I think
Mhm.
most people watching this podcast will know that by now because I talk about that all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
But a lot of the questions I do get are related to kind of how to learn English and like the way to go about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Do you have any tips, or like maybe you could share like your kind of study method if you have one of learning Chinese? Like, do you think it could be useful for the listeners?
Yeah, well, I think what I would say to people is that you have to find your own way of doing it and what works for you. What works for me and what works for you might not work for everybody. So it's really about kind of looking at what works for you best and then focusing on that. For me personally, I'd say there really is no substitute to spending time in in a country that speaks the language that you're trying to learn. So um, for me, learning Mandarin, there's no way I would have learned Mandarin to the level that I have now if I hadn't lived in China. Um, Obviously, that's difficult, and not everybody can do that. You know, not everybody can move to a country to learn a language. So the next best thing really is to find teachers that you enjoy working with, and to find methods that work for you as well. So I don't think there's one single thing that works better than other things. I think it's a mixture, and you have to
Mm.
find the right mixture that works well for you.
Yeah, that's probably. I mean, if there was just one thing that, like, here are the rules you have to follow, there
Hmm.
probably wouldn't be so many, you know, Instagram English teachers and all these different pages because it would just be a simple list. There wouldn't be
Yeah,
all these different ways you can follow. So, yeah, I guess you have to find the teacher and the method that works best for you and what you enjoy.
absolutely. Yeah, and I think if you find methods of self-study, a lot of people like watching TV, a lot of people like reading, some people like working on textbooks. I think do what works for you and do what you enjoy. But if you have a teacher that you can kind of ask questions about the things that you've been studying yourself, I think that's a real big help. So self-study is brilliant, but then it's great to have somebody who you can go to with questions and kind of check, and also practice as well, because you might get a lot of theory from textbooks, you might do a lot of reading practice through books, you might get a lot of listening practice through TV, but in order to really improve, I think you've got to use what you learn, and having a teacher is a great way to do that in a controlled environment, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, I have at the moment I'm having like 30-minute lesson once a week
Hmm. Yeah,
for my languages, and it it's a tiny amount of time and it's not much money to put down, but it makes such a big difference on my
mm,
motivation. I'm excited to share what I learned that week with them, and you know, I feel like I'm not so separated from the culture. So there's
yeah,
many
absolutely,
benefits to it, isn't there?
definitely. Yeah, I think using the language is a really big thing,
Yeah.
really, really big thing. I don't think you can improve without actually pushing yourself to speak it. And like you say, teachers give you a kind of controlled environment where you don't need to be embarrassed about using the language that you've learned.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. There's one mistake that I always make in Chinese, which
Hmm.
my teacher always laughs at me.
Hmm.
Um, but I never feel bad because, as you said, it's like that kind of safe environment that I'm allowed to make mistakes.
Yeah,
But so
absolutely.
the word for cat is like Mao, right?
Yeah, uh-huh, uh-huh.
But then they also have the word, just like we do in English, meow is
Yeah.
the noise they make. And I always just say meow as like I talk about the cat, but I say, oh, that meow over there. And it's like that tiny sound change, but I always get it wrong. I don't know why.
Exactly,
Um,
yeah.
and she
Sometimes
always
really
laughs at me.
small. I think particularly with Chinese as well, pronunciation, really small pronunciation
Yeah,
mistakes or differences can have a huge difference in meaning. So,
yeah,
yeah, it's not easy, is it?
yeah. That's the
But
tough part, right?
definitely.
Well, I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot then, but are you having lessons online or having lessons at the moment, or is it more self study at this time?
Well, like I say, it's a mixture of both. So I do a lot of. Have you heard of the chairman's bow? Have you ever
Yeah,
come
yeah.
across that?
Chinese website.
Yeah, that's a really brilliant for anyone who's learning Chinese. That's a really brilliant resource. It's like a graded reader
Hmm.
website. So there are articles split into levels. You read through it, and you can translate the words as you go. And then there are kind of like assessment tools, so you can test yourself on what you've learned. So I use that. I try to listen to Chinese music as much as I can. I watch a little bit of Chinese TV, although I'm not a huge fan of it. But I'm studying a master's at the moment, and one of my modules is in Mandarin. So I have regular contact with a teacher. That would be in a normal situation, that would be in a physical classroom, but obviously with the way that things are now, it is online. So yeah, I think I have about 3 or 4 hours a week of online Mandarin classes at the moment.
Whoa, cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So do you find your levels like improving quite a lot with that? Or, like, do you see the changes week to week or?
Sometimes I think it's hard, isn't it, to see your own improvement.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of the learners listening will find this as well. I think sometimes you reach a plateau, and you think, oh, I'm not getting any better here. This is again where it's good to have a teacher's input to say, look, actually, you have made these improvements, because sometimes it's really hard to see that yourself. Um, I think I am improving. I hope so.
I'm
I
sure you're
mean, I'm
not getting
putting
worse, but
well, hopefully not. I'm putting a lot of work into it, which I think you need to do. So yeah, I hope I am improving.
oh, nice one. Nice one. That's really cool. Um, yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of, well, I forgot what we were speaking of before, but anyway, I wanted to kind of switch topics then. And like today's
Hmm.
been a crazy today. This year has been a crazy year.
Yeah.
And I should also mention, I probably mentioned it before in the intro, but it's Christmas episode, so I'm wearing a Christmas hat.
Yeah, of
So
course.
that's very topical. We'll
Yeah.
maybe come back to that more in a minute.
Hmm.
Also, we're recording this in the year of the COVID pandemic.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, so very crazy this year. Has it had any like big impact on your life in any way?
Well, I think it's had an impact on everybody's life, hasn't it? In certain ways.
Yeah.
I think for me, after I came back from China, I was working. I started working in language schools here, in Nottingham, where I live. So I've worked for two English schools in Nottingham. One of them actually switched all of their classes to online last year, I think it was, and the other one unfortunately closed down due to the pandemic.
Oh
So
no.
yeah, that's changed for me. Um, Obviously, the school that's online is doing quite well from it. The other school has completely shut down. Other than that, I think at the start of this year, my plan was really to do more online teaching anyway. I had been doing it after I returned from China. I was doing some online lessons. I kept in touch with some of my students that I'd taught before, but it wasn't my main work. My main work was still in the actual classroom. Um, as I say, I wanted to change that this year, and I think the pandemic is kind of, as it has for many people, it kind of pushed me into that a little bit more.
Hmm.
Um, so I started the Instagram around the time of the pandemic beginning. Um, I started doing more work online. So it's affected me positively in that way. Um, University, as I say, for me is almost all online now, which I mean, it's a shame, but I understand that that's how it has to be. And then other than that, I think as it has been for everybody here in the UK socially, it's been quite a big thing, because we can't go and meet our friends very often.
Yeah.
So it's affected me in that way. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It's a really tricky thing, isn't it? Because on the one hand, it is a such a terrible thing, and there's many bad things, both
Yeah.
individually and for other people mainly.
Hmm.
But of course, there are. I think many people can see some benefits. I think whenever something bad happens, there's always going to be something good, not necessarily equally
Yeah.
as good, but something good that comes out of it. So at the beginning, I was very busy with work because everyone's going online, and that was a big change for me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Hmm.
like you said, it's I basically don't see anyone anymore. I'm like always working, always inside. So that's a challenge, isn't it? But
Definitely, and we were just mentioning before, weren't we? We have this tier system now in the
mm,
UK, where different cities are under different tiers. I know that you in London, you're in did you say tier one, tier two?
medium tier in London, tier two.
The medium tier, yeah. So but us here in Nottingham, we're in the highest tier. So restaurants and pubs are still not open, so it's still really difficult to meet your friends. And now obviously it's winter, it's pretty cold, so it's difficult to meet outside as well. There aren't a great amount of things that you can do outside.
Mm.
It's been difficult, but like you say, yeah, I think for me and for lots of people, it kind of pushed us into, you know, starting something that we maybe planned to do for a long time but didn't have time to do. um, this year, due to being at home more, I think some of us have had more time to actually start those things and try something different, which is a good thing,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. It's nice to kind of try to think positively in that way. I think many people have done, more cooking or more
Mm,
exercise or something like that that they could do at home.
yeah,
I know I have definitely,
yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah, some good things come out of it, but I mean, everybody's ready for it to end now, aren't they? And get back to some sort of normality.
yeah. I think that's why I wanted to bring it up because we're coming up to the end of the year and it's nice to reflect on the year we've just had, but hopefully, 2021 that's going to be the year of change, a positive year. We'll see.
Yeah, we can hope, can't we? I think we definitely need to hope it's going to be better than 2020.
Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely. Yeah. Well, let's change things up and let's get to a happier topic.
Yeah,
Christmas.
yeah.
So when this episode comes out, I think Christmas will be like 2 days later. So this is
Okay.
a true Christmas themed episode, kind of.
hmm hmm
Um, so I thought it might be interesting to kind of talk about how we celebrate it here, and maybe there's some differences between us. So
Yeah.
how do you normally celebrate Christmas on a normal year? What would you be doing?
So normal year, I think Christmas for me, I have quite a big family. So Christmas is about meeting and seeing that extended family. Um, some of the close family I see very regularly, but the extended family, um, we might not see them throughout the year until Christmas comes around. So for me, a normal Christmas would be on Christmas Eve. I like to go to the pub near my house. Um, and I meet up with lots of my old school friends that, again, I might not see them throughout the year, but we all tend to be in the same place on Christmas Eve, which is usually really good fun. We have a really good catch up. Christmas Day, we usually have dinner at my house. So that would be with my dad, my brother, our girlfriends, that kind of thing. And then in the evening, we will go to my mum's family, and have kind of, I guess you could call it a party,
Yeah,
like a get together in
a
the house.
gathering. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And then at Boxing Day, we usually go out to a restaurant for dinner again with my mum's side of the family. I think it's quite a normal one. We don't do anything too different, I don't think. But yeah, how about you? What do you do?
I mean, it sounds very similar. I don't have a good idea of what kind of the normal way to celebrate would be because it's
Mhm.
you always kind of think that your way is the normal way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but I do the exact same thing. Like usually, I would see my friends in the pub on Christmas Eve,
hmm
and it's exactly the same. Where you know, back when you were in school or sixth form, where you had maybe 100 friends, not like I do now, but
Yeah.
all of these friends, like 100 people or so, go to the pub. It's super crammed and crowded. Wherever I go, there's someone that I recognize. Like, hey, how are you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so that's always fun. Again, I don't see them throughout the year usually, so that's always nice.
hmm
Um, and yeah, Christmas Day is just yeah, relaxing day. Usually, there's the maybe relaxing morning. Then you have the Christmas dinner. I mean, we tend to have Christmas dinner like early afternoon, like 2 p.m. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, we do. I think we usually wait, because my we used to wait for my grandparents used to like watching the Queen's speech,
Ah,
when she comes on.
I've never ever watched it to be
Have
honest.
you never watched it? Okay, well, it's a bit of a strange thing, and they used to like to watch that, and I can't remember if we waited until after that had finished to start eating. I think it comes on around 3 o'clock.
Okay.
So
It's
yeah,
quite common, isn't it, to have, normally in the UK, you might have lunch around midday,
yeah,
dinner generally a bit earlier than a lot of countries. Like, you know, I don't know about you, but 6 or 7 maybe for dinner.
yeah.
But then on Christmas Day, it's like almost mid afternoon, you have the big dinner, which is a bit different.
Yeah, I think maybe because it's such a big meal, if you put it in the middle of the afternoon, you don't need anything else later on, do you? So,
Yeah.
and it takes a lot of cooking, doesn't it, as well? So I think people need a bit more time in the morning to get
Mm.
everything prepared.
I wondered the other day, maybe the origin of that kind of tradition is maybe people would go to church in the morning and then they get back around midday and then they start cooking. I don't know.
You might be right there, actually. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that
Yeah,
either, but that sounds like a plausible thing. Yeah, it
yeah,
could be
yeah.
right.
And yeah, for anyone who doesn't know listening, so every Christmas the Queen gives a speech, and as far as I know, let me know if I'm wrong, but isn't it basically like kind of like a review of the year, like what has happened this year, and giving you good
Yeah,
wishes, or
I say I don't really concentrate too hard, to be honest with you. I say it was more for my grandparents. They used to enjoy watching it. Yeah, it's really short usually, and she talks. I think yeah, she talks about things that have happened in the year, good things, challenges, and it's usually kind of like she ends it on a positive note. And at this Christmas time, we all come together and look forward to next year being a better year. Things like that.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a strange thing, isn't it? But because we don't usually hear from the Queen all year, and then Christmas time she comes on and does a speech.
it's like her annual
Um,
appearance. Yeah,
it is, yeah, strange thing, but yeah, generally that kind of thing. She talks about what's happened in the year and
Mm.
tries to put a positive, tries to kind of make everybody feel a bit happier, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I see the appeal of it. It's kind of a nice thing, but
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, this is almost a separate topic now, but maybe the answer is no, and that's fine. But do you know much about like the origins or like where Christmas comes from originally?
Well, I think I know the the kind of general knowledge stuff. I wouldn't say that I'm an expert on it, but I think most people in the UK have an awareness of the religious aspects of Christmas. I mean, when we were at primary school, usually we most primary schools. I'm not sure if they still do this now, but they used to do nativity plays, which is where they would the children would do kind of a play about often the birth of Jesus. And then I think in as time has gone by, it's become just generally about Christmas, hasn't it? Nativities and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
So I think we learn a lot about the religious side of Christmas through that when we were at school. Um, did you do nativities at school?
Yeah, I mean, I went to a very Christian school, so like
Okay.
every year it was like all like every year the same. Like there'd be the three wise men giving gifts to
Yeah.
baby Jesus and all that kind of stuff. I believe I was a wise man one year,
Okay.
which
Right.
doesn't really suit me. But
I think I might have been a shepherd.
oh, really?
I think so. Thinking back, I can't really remember. I know that I think when I was really young, we did the nativities, um, like you mentioned about the birth of Jesus. But I think as I went through school, I think we moved away from that. We started to do plays that were more about like Santa Claus, for example,
Yeah,
or other
that's
things to do with
interesting.
Christmas, as opposed to the religious side of it.
This was still in primary school.
Yeah, I mean, when we
Yeah,
got to secondary school, I think
too cool for that.
people are too cool for that. Yeah, exactly. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's a long time ago now, so I struggle to remember.
Oh, yeah, we never did that. It was always like the biblical story for us.
Right.
That's interesting. But I mean, do you think that most people celebrate with that in mind in the UK, with the origin and the religious, the Christian aspect in mind these days?
Um, it's a difficult question, isn't it? Really, because I think everybody is different. I mean, speaking about my family in particular, we're not a particularly religious family, so we don't really focus on that aspect of Christmas. Although we do still put up like a decoration in the house that is kind of like the scene of the birth of
Oh,
Jesus,
okay.
which I guess is quite strange because we're not religious, but we do put that up every year. Um, I guess there are other families who are a bit more religious who maybe do focus on that side of Christmas and go to church and things like that. My family don't do that, but but I guess other families do. I think it's difficult to say that
Hmm.
um, most families do one thing or most families do another thing.
It is hard to generalize, isn't it? I wanted to give like a rough idea to listeners of kind of how it's viewed here.
Yeah.
Um, I would say, but yeah, again, it's my experience and the people who I know, but it seems like most people will kind of think of it as like, oh, nice to give presents. It's nice to go to the markets and
Hmm.
feel the, you know, warm festive season, that kind of stuff. But I think most people wouldn't think of it in the religious way anymore. But again, yeah, it depends on what bubble, what kind of friendship bubble you're in, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's probably safe to say that in recent years it's probably moved away from the religious um, aspects a little bit more. I don't know about I don't know whether how much kids these days are taught about the religious kind
Hmm.
of origins of Christmas. But yeah, I think it really depends on you and what you not what you believe, but what you focus on and what you find important.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, the fact I'm wearing a Santa hat, this kind of shows that it's not religious. I don't think Jesus had this, but
I don't think so. No.
I mean that's one thing I'm not so sure about is like where Santa came from and all this other stuff. Like, I don't quite know the origins of that.
Wasn't it
Um,
from a Coca-Cola?
really?
I'm not again. I'm not too
Hmm.
sure about this, but I'm sure I read something like Saint Nicholas, isn't it?
Well,
Santa Claus' real name or
I
original name?
I thought that, and I had a student the other day, and I think in many European countries they celebrate Saint Nicholas Day or something, which is I think at the beginning of December.
Hmm.
And according to my student, Santa and Saint Nicholas are different people.
Okay.
They're not the same. I don't quite understand it, but
I'm sure I heard something about Santa Claus as we know him today. A fat man with a white beard, red hat, red suit, always very happy. I'm sure I read or heard that that kind of image of Santa Claus was created by Coca-Cola
I might have heard that, and
as
maybe that's why it's red. Maybe.
potentially, yeah, potentially. But again, I'm not too sure about that, but it might be worth looking into.
Well, they might have missed like a good branding opportunity. They should have put like Coca-Cola logos on all of his outfit, and like no one
Yeah,
knows anymore.
No, well, that's it. I think throughout history, it's kind of it gets passed down to generation and generation, and you lose certain things.
Mhm.
Nowadays, we have this Santa Claus who everybody loves, but nobody knows where he's come from really, or where the
Yeah,
story
yeah.
kind of began. So,
It's strange, isn't it? And it's strange how there are many traditions that we do that you don't question because you're so immersed in that tradition. Like, you put up a Christmas tree in your
yeah,
living room, like a
hmm
kind of a dead tree, put lights on it, but no one really thinks about, well, few people think about why. Like, have you ever thought
yeah.
about the reason why?
No, no, like you say, I think it's just the thing that people do, isn't it? And yeah, people don't really think about why they do it. It's just a tradition that's passed down
Hmm.
through generations, I guess. Yeah, it is strange when you think about it like that, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. When you like you take a step back and have a look, it's quite strange. But
Yeah,
I,
absolutely.
I I can see I can see the appeal of the lights because it's a dark. I think the darkest day of the year is like 21st maybe of
Yeah,
December.
I
So
can't
it's
remember for
the
sure.
darkest point of the year. We have lots of beautiful lights and maybe a fire. So
Yeah, and that aspect is really nice, and I think it gets a lot of people through winter. For people who've not been to the UK before, in winter it's very dark, isn't it? I mean, it gets dark at sometimes 3:30 in the afternoon, 4 o'clock, and it's often cold, of course, and it's and
mm,
it's wet. So it is nice when you get into December and you start seeing, lights on all of the houses and things like that. It does make things a little bit nicer. I'm really not a fan of winter, so for me, Christmas is good because it comes kind of in the middle of winter, and it gets you through that really, really kind of dark and cold period.
mm.
I mean, what are your thoughts on winter and the darkness here and that kind of thing?
Oh, that's a good question. So I quite like it. So like last year, not to brag or anything, but last year I was in Thailand in the winter. So
Hmm.
this is my first Christmas in 2 years, basically, or my first winter in 2 years. Um, and although it's amazing, it's beautiful country and it's amazing to have hot weather all the time,
Hmm.
I think it would get boring very quickly to always have a decent temperature, decent climate.
Hmm.
I find that having the cold and the dark makes me appreciate the summer more
Yeah.
because Brits. Maybe you feel the same. Brits are so passionate about summer. We talk about it all
Yeah.
year. I can't wait for summer, and we go crazy. As soon as there's like some sun,
Hmm.
all the guys have their tops off in shopping. And
Yeah. Yeah. Not all of us.
oh yeah, yeah, many.
So, yeah.
um, and I don't see that in other countries, especially more closer to the equator, because I think there's just more consistent there, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, we do have four quite distinct seasons, I guess, which is a good thing.
Mhm.
On the flip side of that, in the winter it gets dark at 4 o'clock, but in the summer it gets dark at about 9 or 10 o'clock at night, which is, I mean, I love that. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
One thing that always really interests me about, British weather is I have quite a few students from Saudi Arabia, and they always, and I had a lot of students from Saudi Arabia when I was working in the school here in Nottingham as well, and they were living here, and they love rainy weather. They
Yeah.
really, really love it.
I found that too. I have a lot of students from Saudi Arabia, and
Yeah,
I always say, what's the temperature like? And they're like, it's like 39 today,
yeah,
normal day here.
yeah,
And
yeah.
they always talk about how much they miss the weather in the UK.
Absolutely, yeah, and I mean, because most people, when they think about the weather in the UK, they think, oh, it's yeah, it is the UK is well known for having rubbish weather, but yeah, I found that people from Saudi Arabia and I guess other people from the Middle East as well really love the rainy weather. So it
Mm.
depends on your perception, doesn't it? What you're used to.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's nice to appreciate it. Some countries it's so hot,
Yeah.
depends on how you look at it. Do you think that the weather in the UK is as bad as people say?
uh, Maybe not. I think that the UK has this reputation, doesn't it? That's not to say that the weather is brilliant, but of course, it really depends on what kind of weather you like. For me, I don't like the dark days and the wet days. And I really like the outdoors and doing things outside. And when you can't do that, I find it a bit depressing. So I do like it when it's a bit warmer and it's a bit brighter. But as we said, some people love rainy weather, and I think if they like rainy weather, then you can't say the weather in the UK is terrible because it does rain a lot.
That's true. That's true. We have like this expression, don't we? Like it's good weather for ducks.
Yeah, of course.
The
Yeah,
ducks are happy in the rain.
definitely. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I this is like based on you have like the rainfall statistics I've seen,
Mhm.
and there are many countries I've seen that are much worse than the UK. I think even like the Netherlands is
Yeah,
has worse weather than we do, but it's just we have the stereotype.
we do. Yeah, we do have
So
that stereotype.
yeah,
Like we say, it might not be completely true, but it does rain a lot here. I think we're missing the snow a little bit, aren't we, as well? It doesn't snow so often, or not as often as it maybe used to.
yeah. I mean, where I live, I tend to see it like once every 3 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
not every year, which is a shame. But I don't know about up in Nottingham.
It did snow here the other day, actually, but
Oh, cool! Wow.
it was more of it was more of sleet, I think, which is kind of when you have snow and rain kind of mixed together. So it wasn't settling on the floor. It was just very cold and very wet, so not very nice,
It's like
really.
very cold rain.
Pretty much, yeah. Sleet is horrible, isn't it? I hate it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's interesting. But okay, well, I wanted to kind of quiz you on a couple phrases that I found right before we started recording today.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I had two expressions related to Christmas.
Okay.
Um, I want to see what you make of them. So first one I think is probably quite understandable for many people, and this is "It's the thought that counts."
Okay.
So
Right.
what does that mean, and why would we use it?
I was quite nervous there because we haven't planned these, so I don't know what's coming. I hope I know them. So the thought that counts. So people would use this about giving gifts, wouldn't they? I guess. So I think in some cultures when it comes to giving gifts, it really matters what you buy. It matters how much money you spend, or the kind of thing that you buy for somebody. But in the UK, when we use this phrase, it's the thought that counts. What we're trying to say is that it doesn't matter what you get for me, as long the important thing is that you thought about me enough to go out and buy me a gift. Um, so it doesn't matter how much you spend, it doesn't matter what you get for me. I'm happy that you thought about me when you bought a gift for me.
That's so you're saying it's like a positive thing then, like it's a good thing to say.
Well, you're right actually, because sometimes you could
Could be
you,
both, I
it
would
could
say.
be
Yeah.
said. Yeah, it depends how you say it, doesn't it? I guess. We obviously have quite a sarcastic sense of humor in the UK, an ironic sense of humor. So sometimes if somebody gets you a gift that's maybe not very good, you could say, "Oh well, it's the thought that counts." Yeah, it doesn't matter that this is not very good. At least you thought about me. But yeah, so you could look at it from those two angles, I guess.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I have a. I'm not going to say who they are, but there's someone who often gets me gifts, and
Mhm.
you can kind of tell that they're not really well planned. It's kind of like something that they want rather
Yeah.
than something that I want. And I would never say this because it's quite rude in that case, but I would think, oh, it's the thought that counts. They tried. They got me something.
Yeah, at least they did something. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like if you have a really close relationship with somebody, like for example, for my dad, let's say that I bought my dad something that's it's not very good. I remember when I was younger, I bought my dad a plant for Christmas, and I'm terrible at wrapping gifts. But I tried to wrap this plant, which was really difficult to wrap anyway, and it looked terrible. But my dad was kind of like, "Oh, well, don't matter. It's the thought that counts."
Oh.
So it doesn't matter that this gift looked terrible. At least I tried, kind of thing.
Well, that's nice. That's nice. It's kind of it can be a nice thing to say sometimes, right?
It can be, yeah, it can be.
Well, the second and last one, because
Hmm.
there aren't many I would say that we use at Christmas.
Hmm.
Um, I don't quite know the origin of this, but maybe you will. This is bar humbug.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Do you know where that's from?
I do. It's from A Christmas Carol, isn't it? The
Ah,
the
okay.
um the story, A Christmas Carol, and there's a character from that story called Scrooge, and Scrooge hates Christmas, or hated Christmas. He was Yeah, he hated everything about Christmas, I think, and "Bah humbug" was his saying, wasn't it?
Yeah, I didn't. I wasn't 100% sure where it came from because I haven't seen that film since I was maybe 7 or 8.
Okay.
But yeah, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's like what he said. What was the purpose of it? Kind of like what did it mean? Like, no, I don't care, something like that, or
Yeah, it was. I think I don't know. The more I speak, the less sure I become. But I think yeah. So Scrooge hated Christmas, and "Bah humbug" was his kind of like it's rubbish. I don't like it. It's no good. This kind
yeah,
of thing.
that's what I would
Um,
say. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I really like that. I think that's a brilliant story, Christmas Carol. And
Is that
there
the one with
was
the when the ghosts visit him, right?
yeah. So
Yeah.
Scrooge yeah, hated Christmas, and I think is it three ghosts visit him on Christmas Eve, and help him to kind of see what's wrong with him as a person. I think he's very selfish, wasn't he, and
Hmm.
that kind of thing. And then by the end of the night, he's a happy man and he loves Christmas. Um, there was a Disney remake of that film a couple of years
Ah,
ago.
I didn't know that. I
Um,
mean, I just remember the Muppet version. Have you seen that where it's like the
yeah,
puppets?
yeah, the Muppets one was a classic one.
They both scared me though. I didn't like them. They were both too scary. But,
It is a bit dark, isn't it? Because it's a story that comes from Victorian times,
yeah.
um, when things were a little bit. I guess it's a little bit creepy, a little bit dark. But I think if people are looking for a Christmas film to watch, the Disney Christmas Carol is a brilliant one. A good way to practice your English listening as well. Um, the language might be a little bit different because the story comes from Victorian times, but in the Disney movie, it's kind of adapted for children, so it
Hmm.
should be understandable for a lot of people. I love that movie as well. Great movie
Hmm.
to watch.
I haven't seen the Disney one, but yeah, it's a good recommendation. So
Mm,
Disney's Christmas Carol.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's one more that, I just thought of now, which I think we could use, which is, what would it mean if I called you Scrooge? So don't be such a Scrooge.
Yeah, okay. So if you call somebody a Scrooge, I guess it suggests that they're not in the Christmas spirit. They're not being at Christmas. You're supposed to be happy, right? People should be happy and cheerful. And if somebody is being a little bit negative or is not enjoying Christmas, you can call them a Scrooge. So they're being negative about Christmas essentially.
Yeah. It's a good one. So I mean, I don't have a Christmas tree or any lights. I do have a hat, I suppose, but you could say, Michael, don't be such a Scrooge. Put up your tree. Put up some lights.
Exactly. You could say that to me this year. I still don't have my tree. What's the date today? 9th of December. Um, I should have the tree up by now, right?
Yeah, maybe.
I should have. That's not because I don't like Christmas. It's just because I've been too busy to do it. But yeah, you're right. You could say to somebody. Some people say, I'm not doing Christmas this year. I'm not doing a tree. And you could say, don't be such a Scrooge. Come on.
Yeah, totally. Nice.
Mhm.
Well, that was really just one more question I had for you, which is going to seem like a big topic jump now. I should have maybe
Yeah.
asked you before, but this is when I ask every guest on the podcast. It's like a recurring theme.
Okay.
So I guess the only language that you're learning is Chinese. There's no more, right?
Yeah, it's only Chinese at the
No,
moment. Yeah.
that's enough.
Yeah, it takes up enough time.
Yeah. So with Chinese, in your
Mhm.
experience, have you ever made any embarrassing mistakes or blunders or any kind of funny moments with that?
Well, I think as we were saying with Chinese, a really big part of it is the pronunciation, and if your pronunciation is slightly wrong, it can really alter the meaning of what you're saying. So I mean, I think I make mistakes with that quite often, as many Chinese learners do. I can't think of any specific times, but I can think of one from when I was teaching in China actually, and I think this. Um, it was a mistake that a student of mine, well, it was a small mistake from the student, but it was a mistake from me as a teacher as well. Um, so I think it demonstrates how a really small mistake in English or in Chinese can make a big difference to the meaning. But it also demonstrates how having some kind of cultural knowledge about the language you're learning um, is important as well. So this was it was when I first started teaching in China, one of my first lessons, and a student said to me, Matt, do you like dog? Okay, and in my head I started thinking, okay, right, he's asking me, do I like eating dog meat? And I thought, right, I don't want to disrespect this guy, so I said, no, I haven't tried it yet. I've not tried it. And I could see like confusion on all of the students' face, and they were thinking, what's he talking about? And then I realized that he was actually asking me, do you like dogs? The animals. So, in English, when we use the plural, dogs, chickens, cows, we're talking about the animals themselves. When we use the singular, we're talking about them as food. So chicken is meat. Um, so he made a really small mistake, but it confused me a little bit. But as I say, also that was my issue in not having enough understanding of Chinese culture, because before I went there, I thought, okay, you know, maybe people eat dogs, and if they do that, that's their thing. But actually, I never saw anybody
Hmm.
eating dog in China anyway. So it's really a bit of a misconception that people here have. So I think that highlights, as I say, small mistakes can make a big difference in meaning, but also it's important to have a cultural understanding of the language that you're learning as well.
That's awesome. That's a funny one, but also it's like a good message, a good lesson from that. I mean, I think you both learned something,
Yeah,
but
I think so,
yeah,
definitely.
it's a good lesson. When you talk about animals that you like, make sure you have an S unless you
Yeah,
want to eat them.
of course, that's it. Yeah, really small thing, but makes a difference in meaning.
Yeah. I guess you could kind of say like, you know, if you add the word meat, you wouldn't have like dog's meat really.
Yeah,
So just remove the word meat, like dog meat, and then dog. it's just the same. I don't know if that helps make it
Yeah.
easier to
Well, in
remember.
Chinese, as you probably know, that's what they do. So instead of having a word, like we have beef,
Mm,
in Chinese it translates to cow meat. Um, Instead of us saying pork in Chinese, it's pig meat. So it's a lot easier, I guess, in that
yeah,
respect.
yeah. They're much more kind of honest about what they're eating, not trying to hide it and make it sound all fancy. It's just, yeah, this is what it is. But
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I think all of our kind of nice meat words come from French, don't they? Like beef and pork. Maybe not pork, but that's what I learned anyway. Is like the kind of the animals are like Scandinavian origin in the
Mhm.
language, and the food is like French origin.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that I think that affects English in some way.
I guess it does. Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure. I say sometimes English things in English can be confusing, whereas things in Chinese are often, whatever this thing is, that's how you say it. It is what it is.
Yes, yes. Like, do you know the word? There's many of these, but say for uh, like a shrimp. Do you
Hmm.
know that in Chinese? Like literally in English?
What do you mean? Sorry,
Like
literally in English.
I think it's shrimp, right? So am I remembering right? Was it lobster? I'm thinking of
Yeah, yeah. So
like when you take the characters and translate
yeah,
it literally to English.
yeah. Dragon shrimp, right? Long
Yeah,
xia.
that's what it is. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think panda's another one where what's panda like bear
Um,
cat.
it's yeah. I think it translates to that, doesn't it?
So that
Similar to that.
they're all very kind of simple and like easy to get. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, yeah. So people, if there are any of your learners listening to this who are thinking of learning Chinese, I would say don't be put off because people think it's going to be really difficult, and it is, but it's maybe not as difficult as you may have expected.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there are aspects of English that are harder and aspects of Chinese that are harder. It just depends what part you're looking at, maybe.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think as we mentioned, an overarching kind of theme with all languages is that it's really is a continuous process. I think it's something you need to keep working on. It's not a case of saying I'm going to study for 3 years and I will have finished. It just doesn't work like that. You need to continuously work at it and keep studying.
Yeah, totally, totally. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, nice. Well, I think we've got through a lot today. We've covered many different topics,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'm sure the listeners enjoyed it. So before we do go, would you like to tell us where we can find out more about you, like Instagram, or do you have a website or anything?
Yeah, no, I don't have a website at the moment. Most of the stuff I do is through Instagram. So my Instagram tag is Matt's English Studio. So you can find it on there. I haven't been very active recently because I have been so busy, but I do need to, and I will get back into it a little bit more. So yeah, if people want to follow me on there, then that would be brilliant. Um, People often ask me questions on there as well. So any questions that people have, feel free to send them over, and I'll be more than happy to answer.
Awesome. And yeah, as always, I will link to that in the show notes in if
Brilliant.
anyone
Thank you.
does happen to go there. But yeah, and also, are you open for like new students at the moment? Like maybe if anyone's listening, they want to have a lesson. Is that possible?
At the moment, I only have one or two spaces for new students because I am very, very busy. And I really do have to manage my time a lot at the moment. But as I say, yeah, if people are looking to take more lessons, feel free to give me a message and I'll see if I can fit it in if our kind of schedules match. In the future, once things have calmed down a little bit, I'm definitely looking at opening more time for more students and more classes. So please feel free to get in touch and ask me any questions that you may have.
Awesome. That's great. That's great. Well, thank you very, very much for joining me today. It's been such a
That's
pleasure
all right. Yeah.
to get to know you and chat with you.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for having me on.
Awesome. You're very welcome.